everyone. Welcome to Open and Unashamed.
Hello, welcome to Open and Unashamed.
Yes, I am Evangelist Alisha Fuller, one of your hosts, and this is my co-host, Dr. Shola. And you all know we were talking right before we got on here. That's why we busting up laughing.
Yep,
How are you, my friend, over there?
I'm great. I'm doing great, great, great,
Uh,
great. We talk about friendship, relationships, and different kinds of relationships and the nuances and how everybody ain't your friend. Also, everybody ain't your enemy.
yes, yes. So everybody's not your friend, and neither are they your enemy, right? So
Yes,
what you're saying that there's some in between
there are many in
things in
between.
betweens.
Yep,
Okay,
there are
all
things in
right.
between. And not
There's
and they're not bad things.
and they are not bad things, but we can find our place in other people's lives, right?
Yes.
And we can find out what is their purpose in our lives. So we want
Yep.
to go right back. We're going to continue. Dr. Shola and I agree that hey, we want to continue to talk about building relationships, healthy friendships as well. So we're going to go back to a few topics in her book of Be Free to Be. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about A Journey Through the Valley, some pieces out of here as well that talks about friendship. So, Dr. Shola, I like to
Yes.
go right on to page 144. It talks about the relationships that every empowered woman needs. Every empowered woman needs. That's where I want to start.
Now I'm going to do a shameless plug for
So
this
you better
book.
come on, plug this book.
You want to get this book. And even here's the thing, even if you're not a woman, this book has a lot in it. I mean, honestly, sometimes I'll open my own book and be like, I'll read, and I'm like, did you say that? Sometimes I amen myself, like, amen, girl.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that earlier. When we get an opportunity to read our own product, our own book, something that the Lord has shared with us, because I know it's not your words. I know that you are a vessel that's being used. I know for A Journey Through the Valley, I go back and read some of the poetry in my story, and I'm like, man, did I walk through this thing for real? I
Mm-hmm.
came out with no scars, no burns that you can see anyway.
And amen.
Okay. So, yes, free to be, free to be, free to be. So, we're going to talk a little bit about these different relationships that we believe the Lord has given Dr. Shola, as well as information that she has researched and placed in her book. We're going to talk a little bit about friendship today. Different
Yes.
people, how they're represented in our lives and how
Yes.
they show up. So you can go ahead and start. The first one I see is talking about mentors. You start off
Yes.
about mentors.
Yes, I think mentors are very important. So we're talking about friendship, friendship, friendship. Everybody ain't your friend, everybody ain't your enemy, but there are lots of in-betweens.
Mm-hmm.
So there are mentors. These are people who have gone ahead of you and people you can learn from. And a mentor, it doesn't matter how old they are. It's not an age thing. It's
Yes.
just the fact of this is somebody that you can connect with that has experience in where you're trying to get to, and they can give you tips on how to succeed in whatever field your or field or endeavor or adventure or whatever it is. And you can literally have a mentor for anything. Like, people have mentors for, I have a spiritual mentor, I have a bunch of business mentors, I have
Mm-hmm.
I have two parenting mentors, and in fact I have school mentors. And by school mentors, I mean people that anytime I'm having a struggle with, like, my kids and the school system and what to do in that, I pick up the phone and I call them. When my kids pass an exam, they're the first ones I go to. When I want them to go from one school to, I'm like, okay, you guys, what do you think of sending my child to this school versus that school? So they're not necessarily, those ones are not even parenting. These are like mentors for the Chicago public school system. So your mentors can be as specific
Yes.
as what you want them to be. When I
Mm-hmm.
started to do my natural hair journey, I had the mentor for that too. It wasn't like formal meetings, but every time I saw, I was like, okay, so what do you use? Da, 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 da. And she would educate me about how to find products for my hair and all of that. And I've been in my natural hair for like 7 years. Yeah, about 7 years. And mentors are so, so valuable,
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times we try to put everybody in this friend box that we don't recognize when these mentors are like right in front of us, ready to help us with whatever we need. And sometimes,
I'm sorry, I just wanted to add on to what you were just saying. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was trying to ask you a question when you said that. So you said sometimes we try to put people in friend boxes.
Yes.
So as far as mentors, we may not spend as much time with mentors as we do our own personal friends and circles.
This is true.
Right? Okay. I wanted to ask you that or add to it rather.
And then the last thing I wanted to say about mentors before I hand it over to you is that sometimes mentors are paid. Some people actually have mentoring as a business. Yep. And for me as a coach, part of what I do is mentor. Sometimes mentors are paid, sometimes mentors are free. It doesn't matter. It's about finding what suits your needs. So let's say you can't afford a paid mentor, well, find a free one. Let's say you can afford a paid mentor for this certain thing and then pay one. It doesn't really matter as long as you're getting what you need.
So that's what's important, to get what you need.
Yes.
And so that means that I have to trust somebody. That's what you're saying? I got to trust somebody with my own personal business too?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
So it has to be a trustworthy person.
Okay. So they have to be trustworthy.
Yep.
And I have to be open to receive the help that I may need.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have to be unashamed about your failures.
Yes, that's good. Yes. I have to be unashamed about my failures, because the goal of the mentor is to help walk me through to whatever my next goal is, my next dream is, whatever I need them for, right? And so like you shared, like I had a mentor, my supervisor. Most of them are mentors for me when it comes to mental health counseling. Walking through this walk of, my different degrees that I've had mentors. I even have a young mentor. She may not even see herself as that. That's my buddy. I'm going to do a shameless plug. Dr. Diane, young girl, but she's amazing at systems and organizing. So when we're on the phone, I'm listening to her. She probably don't see herself as a mentor to me, but I get what I need in certain areas when I talk to her. And I refer other people to her. Okay. And so when we're talking about mentors, one of the scriptures God gave me just at the beginning of your chapter, when I thought about it, was Proverbs 15:22 says, without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed.
Yes.
Okay. So these mentors can be advisors for us and wise counselors for us. And sometimes we're not open to mentors and we're afraid because we won't be open and unashamed about situations. Okay. Yes. So I wanted to just kind of, put that out there. So what's next? Anything else about mentors, or we're going to go right to proteges?
Mentors, mentors are by no means perfect. So
will you please say that again?
Mentors are by no means perfect. Mentors make mistakes. Mentors, they're a lot of times teach you from their experience,
And they're people. Can you say they're human beings?
They're human beings on the face of this earth.
Yes.
They're not angelic beings from heaven.
They are literally, I'm so glad you just said that. That's why I took my glasses off, started rubbing in my eye, because people have asked, real talk, we put mentors on pedestals. And I have been asked to mentor people sometimes, and I'll say to them, what's your need, right? What's your expectation? Yes. And I make every effort to be honest with them. Okay. And so they may say, hey, I want to talk to you at least 3 times a week, And I said, that sounds like you want to pay me, because I don't even have time to give you 3 times a week. I'm being clear about that. So for people who may be listening to this podcast, be honest with people.
Yes.
Some of these people come to the table with expectations, and they may be a person that don't know how to trust. And so the mentor, they immediately put the mentor on a pedestal, and then they're learning to trust you.
Yes.
And as soon as you say what you can't do, okay, they begin to feel rejected. Let me be clear. I'm not just talking about the mentor. I'm talking about the person who's looking for a mentor as well. Just be careful what you're asking for. Yeah. Some people can't be your best friend as a mentor.
No.
Some people can be in your circle as a mentor. Some people can be your mother as a mentor. So when you go in, you must understand what these particular attributes and titles mean when you're looking for certain things. I ask people, do you want a mentor or do you want a mental health counselor? Which one do you want me to be? Because for 3 hours a week, I can be your mental health counselor.
There you go.
As a mentor, we may have to meet and talk maybe 30 minutes once a week or twice a month, however we make the decision and come up with a plan. But I'm glad you said that, because I'm gonna be honest, I've been in predicaments where individuals said, hey, you said you was my mentor. And I said, hey, we said we were going to meet this length of time. And we're talking about accountability. So no mentor has to make you do anything. No. Anybody that's listening to this, the role of the mentor, I wanted to get that out, because people's feelings get hurt and they start feeling rejection again.
Yes.
And the goal is, I'm not trying to make you feel rejected. That's why I ask you up front, what do you believe a mentor is? Yes. And here it says a mentor is someone who teaches or gives help and advice to a less experienced or often younger person. A mentor is someone who is ahead of you in a particular skill, expertise, job that you can learn from. So I'm always willing, because I'm always teaching. Yes. But I may not be able to give you the time that you're asking for. So ask those appropriate questions. I'm saying all that to say, for someone who may be looking for a mentor or someone who is considering being a mentor, ask the right questions. Can you give what they are asking you for? Yes. And to the person who's looking, the protege we're getting ready to talk about, be clear to receive what someone says to you. Yes. They can either do it or they can't. Don't try to trick folk into being your mentor and you get disappointed. Okay. So let's go right into proteges. I got excited about that, y'all.
So the protege is the opposite of the mentor, right? Or some people say
like the mentee.
Or the mentee. Yes, I've heard that word used. I think protege is probably like an older word. Oh well. Mentee. I heard mentee. In fact, joke on me, I didn't know mentee was an actual word until like maybe about 10 years ago. Got you. I always knew the word protege. I didn't know mentee was a word, but mentee makes more sense, right? Mentor, mentee. Well,
is it culture? Maybe that's a word that you heard more in school or something like that, or no?
Yeah, growing up, I heard more of protege than mentee. I don't know.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So your protege is somebody that you are mentoring, right? Somebody that, because, it's good to give, okay? It's good to help. And obviously, nobody's trying to say, oh, you have to be a mentor or whatever, but there's something about mentoring others that even enriches you. For me, mentoring people has forced me to be more authentic, because I'm like, you know what? I don't want to sit here in front of this person who has trusted me and tell them fables about, oh, if you do this, life will be wonderful and blah, blah, blah. I share my struggles with my mentees.
Yes, that's right.
I share my struggles. So if I'm mentoring somebody on marriage, I will tell you about the day I fought with my husband and stomped out of the house. I would tell you.
I hope you would. Helps me get through my struggle to know that you made it through.
Exactly. Or I would tell you the day I told the man, I don't want to see you anymore. Don't talk to me. I would tell you. I will tell you how I walked through that. I'll tell you how I came out the other side, because I feel like that will help you than for me to put myself on a pedestal of perfection. Yeah. And do you know who taught me that? My own mentor taught me that, because my mentor is a gentleman. And he shares his struggles with me. Like, well, this and this happened, and this is how, God took us through it. My shout out to my mentor, Bishop Nolan McCants. I don't know if you watched, but he's a wonderful man. Not only does he mentor me in so many areas, spiritual, business, etc., but he's also taught me how to be the kind of mentor that is, I don't know, is useful to somebody.
Right.
So I've learned a lot from him, be really truly being authentic and being open and unashamed.
Yes, yes,
Able
yes.
to share, the nuances and the struggles, not just the good parts, if I may,
Mm-hmm.
And so having a protege means that you have to be, you have to be comfortable with being somewhat open with your struggles in that particular area. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
mentoring someone in business, you might want to share about, hey, I did this and it went wrong. I'll never forget the day once I was part of a mentoring group called True Mentors. And this gentleman was part of the mentors. So they would come in. So to be a mentor, you had to be pulling in revenue of 2 million and above. This gentleman comes in. He is making 10, his revenue in his businesses is 10, 15 million. So we're like, oh, wow. Wow, big brother, this is where we're going. He comes and he sits down. And he spends the next 10 minutes spazzing out about a couple of financial decisions that he made that were not going well. And how am I, a finance guy, running a construction company? I was like, what? And he goes, well, now he's made all this money. He wants to start investing in businesses. But then he gives this company money and all of that, just mismanaging things. And he's like, if I didn't step in, I was not going to make any money. I'm not going to. So you think you're retired, right? Now you have to learn a whole new.
That's right.
For me, so my biggest takeaway was like, if Mr. 15 million has problems, who am I? It's under 100,000. So that conversation impacted me so much. Now, when I'm having kind of struggles, I'm like, okay, it comes with the territory. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong, because I'm the one who has a tendency to beat myself up when things are going wrong. But no, it's not your fault. This comes with the territory. Remember your big brother mentor. It helps a lot if you share your struggles honestly with your proteges, if you are open and unashamed with your proteges.
Absolutely. And I believe that that's in many areas. You talked about business. We can talk about it in spirituality when it comes to church. A lot of times we're not open and unashamed.
No.
People thinking that we got to this place in our churches or the so-called titles from being a certain type of person. And it's like, no. I struggle too. One of the young ladies hit us all on Facebook and asked questions like, what does it take to be consecrated and holy? And as soon as I heard it, I just started typing. I was like, oh God, we doing some open and unashamed moments right here on Facebook. But guess what, Lord? Folk need help. They need to know that people like us, people who are doing, whatever they believe is big things, right? Because some people look and say, oh, she's doing this, this, and that. Well, yeah, I am, but it doesn't mean that I don't have any challenges. And I put that on the Facebook post and I meant it. I meant it. Holiness, consecration, yes. But we got to fight this, and we have to resist the devil and he has to flee. And so when we're talking about mentorship and we're talking about proteges, it is reciprocal. We're going to always go back to that.
Yes.
The young lady I mentioned earlier, her name is Dr. Diandra. Guess what? It's reciprocal. She may look at me as a mentor. I'm looking at her as a mentor. I'm looking at her as a mentee, right? At the end of the day, she's probably not looking at me as a mentee, but I am receiving what I need from her quite often.
As a mentee, yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So I want us as leaders to know that this is a growing experience. If we stay open and unashamed, even when we're talking to our proteges or mentees, they help us based on a lot of young people help me stay relevant to the time.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go into colleagues, business partners. Again, we're talking about being able to identify the different type of relationships that we actually form along this journey called life.
Yes.
And we really want them to be healthy. And this is the way that you can identify what a healthy relationship looks like. And you can also create your circle, right? You can create your circle. So in your book, it says it goes without saying that if you have a job or a business, you will likely have colleagues. And depending on the type of business, you may have partners or teams.
Yep.
Okay. So sometimes on the job, we don't even look at it like that. this day and age, I'm not going, that's my soapbox. I can't even talk about that. Folk don't even develop any type of teams at work because we don't trust people, because of leadership, because of a lot of other things. But let's talk a little bit about this. How do I build my own team? How do I recognize this team of people that has an effect on my life? Because I spend time with some of them.
Yes, yes. So many times at work, unfortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, you might be thrown into a team. You know, just like, I mean, in hospitals, you have the doctor, the nurse, you know, you find yourself working together, whether you like it or not. And if you're a business owner, you might be in a place where you're building your own team of people to be your staff. So, you know, it takes, I always say that when it comes to, if it comes to hiring, where you're in charge, right? Because if you're on someone else's job, you don't always have a say-so in who you work with. Absolutely. Unless you're higher up, or unless you are one of the people who hires and fires, right? But when you're if it comes to hiring, you want to go for character, competence, and chemistry. The person has to be a person of ethics. The person has to be good at what they do. And there has to be some degree of camaraderie between you and the person you're hiring. You know, I don't want to hire somebody, even if they're good at their job. I don't want to hire somebody I don't like, or somebody that doesn't like me. I'm not saying you have to love me and blow me kisses every day, but you know, you should have this feeling of not respect. When you describe, how do you describe a feeling of liking somebody?
Well, to be honest, that is the word I came up with. Respect. Okay. Because I can respect your position, if nothing else, which will actually help me to respect our relationship in working. Now, I'll come from management, but that's the way I think about it. If you're my boss, I respect that position. Okay. And normally I begin to learn your character along the way. If I'm not the one that's doing the hiring. Even if I do the hiring, I may not know you completely when we sat down, praying that the spirit of discernment works. But then you start showing your true color in some areas. Okay. So I get what you're saying, but to me, it is that level of respect. Can you respect this position? Some people go in, I don't care what that boss say. I'm doing what it is I want to do. Really, you need to have your own business, baby girl or boy. You do. Then, you need to have your own business.
And even when you have your own business, you never do what you want to do because you're going to have clients and customers. And if they're not happy with you, your bank account will be crying.
How does this relate to friendship?
Good. That's a very good question. Now, colleagues can become friends. Absolutely. And interestingly enough, friends can become colleagues. I became a business partner. We've been business partners for like 5 years with this friend of mine. In my author coaching program, I used to edit, and I'm like, this is taking me too long. That woman is a better editor. I'm like, hey, you want people? I'll send them to you. And that's how we became business partners in that sense. So, you know, but colleagues can also become friends, but don't take it for granted that a colleague is a friend. You still have to respect collegial boundaries.
That's right.
You see, some people who blaze into a place are like,
we're friends now.
Your extroversion over there. I don't know.
We went to the party last week together. Everybody know that?
We're friends. I was like, a colleague is always a colleague. I had this situation where one of I call her my little sister. One of my little sisters was like, I don't know what to do with this woman. I found her crying and I gave her advice, and now she wants to call me all the time. And this lady who was helping, I'm going to call them A and B. A is my little sister, B is the colleague. And she, you know, because she gave good advice to this colleague who she came upon crying, I think in the bathroom or something. Now this woman wants to attach herself to A, and it's like, a friend, I'm just trying to help somebody out. And basically B now starts to become a pest. You don't want to be that type of colleague. You don't want to cross collegial boundaries. Don't, you know, it's even better to ask for consent and look silly. Like when I go to one of the places I work, you know, like if I've not been there for a long time, and there's people I have an affinity with, that's, oh, may I give you a hug? I actually asked them, I said, may I give you a hug? And they're like, okay. Or they're like, oh, a fist bump. I'm like, hey, I'll take that. You know, and when somebody puts up a collegial boundary, don't take it personally. You know, there's some people who go to work like they go to school, where they go to work to make friends, and they go and they want everybody to be their business besties, and they exchange numbers and they want to hang out, and this, great. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are some people who their parents have drilled into their heads. We don't go to work to make friends. We don't go to work to make friends. We don't go to work.
Mix business with pleasure.
Exactly. So they're their own box there, and they have very strict and firm collegial boundaries. Fine. It takes all kinds of people to make a world. So you have to study people and see where, if you're going to become friends, okay. But if you're not, if they're colleagues, if they're business partners, it's fine if you're not friends. You already have friends. It's fine. Everyone you know isn't your friend.